Hi and welcome to Creative Prayer with me, Pete Bangs. This is an introduction just to help you understand what it is. So, first question obviously is, what is creative prayer? And the answer is, it's whatever you want it to be. It can be anything from doodling while praying so that your hands are occupied, to drawing things that come to mind while you're praying, to producing a massive, fantastic piece of artwork to show during worship or something like that. So it has lots of possibilities. Second question is, of course, do I need to be an artist? I'm just using coloured pencils that are super cheap and available just about anywhere. They're basically school pencils, and I'm drawing on an old envelope. Now, yes, I'm an artist. But you don't need to be an artist for this. You just need to want a creative way to connect. And it doesn't matter if the height of your ability is drawing stick figures. You can still get a ton out of this, as much as someone who can paint like Michelangelo. So don't worry about things like that. Now, the essence of what we're going to be doing is about mark making. And mark making is simply an artsy-fartsy way of saying drawing or painting on a piece of paper or board. It's that simple. And you'll do doodle shapes or whatever. It really doesn't matter. What we're looking at first is what are essentially warm-up exercises. If by any chance any of you are runners or remember doing sort of exercise at school or do exercise now, you'll remember the importance of warm-ups. And what I find useful is I find a few shapes that are just comfortable to draw without having to give too much thought to it. So I'm partial to spirals and stars and leaves, and I just draw those almost automatically as a warm-up exercise, just to get away from that fear of looking at a blank piece of paper and to just get something down. Once you get into that habit of just doodling shapes or images that you're particularly fond of that you can just run off in some short, simple way. Flowers are another very good one. But once you get used to doing that, you can then look at taking that next step. And the next step is to connect that with your prayer time. Now, let's talk about mark making for a little bit. As you can see here, I've drawn some spikes, some spirals, what looks like a pair of very high-waisted blue trousers. I'll draw some leaves in a minute just because I like drawing leaves. And none of it looks absolutely fabulous. None of it looks like, well, none of it looks like you'll hang it in the National Gallery or anything. Well, at least I hope not. And it really is simply making marks and shapes and different things on the paper. Now, as you get into this, and as you're doing it while praying, images and colours will come to mind. So it's very useful to have a small variety of colours, even if it's just a red, black and blue biro, whatever you've got hanging around the house. But it's useful to have access to some kind of colour, just because Colour is incredibly good at reflecting mood. So once you start looking at things like that, that's as you start moving deeper into it. So as you can see, I'm just scribbling in some leaves and things now. It's really just keeping your hands occupied so that you can be focused on prayer. I don't know about you, but I find that if I'm praying for anything more than about 20 seconds, my hands start to wander. I start to fiddle with my phone or whatever else I've got to hand. Whereas if I'm doing this, if I've got a piece of paper and some coloured pencils in front of me when I'm praying, I'm an awful lot more focused. And sometimes something comes out in the drawing or the doodling that really speaks to what I've been praying about. So, as I say, it's not about producing a great artistic masterpiece. It's just images and shapes and whatever actually speaks to you and whatever you feel comfortable and your hand feels comfortable doing. Now, next time we will actually look at taking this into prayer, but what I'd like you to do in the meantime is just get used to having pencil and paper to hand when you're praying and just scribble and see what happens. Just scribble some shapes, scribble some lines, whatever feels comfortable. Just do that to get into the habit of having something like that going on while praying. And then next time what we'll do is we'll talk about where you go from there, because this is really just the start of potentially very exciting journey. Now, once you get into the habit of that, do look back for the next episode. Should be around in the next couple of 3 days. But in the meantime, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.